How you doing, everybody, and welcome to Dicey Decisions, where we roll dice, spin stories, and play some Dungeons and Dragons. I did mention last week that we have a Patreon, so I guess I might as well go ahead and do that because I don't have anyone to plug this week for a Dicey Spotlight. So this week's Dicey Spotlight is Dicey Decisions. Yeah, we have a Patreon. There's some fun tiers starting as low as $1 a month. Basically, you get access to all of the thumbnails, all of the art, some exclusive character backstory stuff. You will get access to us, actually. There are Discord roles available that you would be able to get as a tiered thing. It's a fun time all around. You can ask us questions, and we can work on things for the story together. I might even put up polls. It's really just a fun way for me to try to be able to pay my players, because, you know, I'd really like to be able to pay my players, because that way I could ask them to do more than just show up every 2 weeks. Because right now, all the stuff you're seeing, this is all me. I'm doing all of this. I'm not going to ask my players to do anything for the show unless I'm going to be able to compensate them properly, as opposed to just being like, hey, you're on the show, do stuff for us, you know? That doesn't sit right with me. So if you go ahead and check it out, it's at patreon.com/dicey-decisions. You should go check it out. It's got some cool stuff and some cool tiers, and every little bit helps. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell that dark creature that stands in the corner of the room, the one that's right behind you. So without further ado, please join us on tonight's episode of Dicey Decisions.
Finnan looks to Aran and basically just says, "Well, if I can't find a welcoming hearth for me, why not one for everybody else?"
That's a noble ideal. Not one that many people hold these days.
There's a reason I've been able to be as successful as I am. As I said, you're standing in one of 5 of my taverns thus far.
Kat's eyes go up, and she kind of mutters, "Okay, I feel a little bit less bad about the free beer."
He's
And-
rich! He is the bourgeoisie!
And Mike, we had established how many taverns he's opened
and the order of them, correct?
Yeah, we established that. Let me see if I can pull up the map.
I think it was that Daggerall was the most recent.
Yeah, Dagdaral is the most recent establishment of his.
You all happen to catch me doing a supply run for Kvatia. I'm working on a venture right now, but it's minor.
We are
I'll
also
say that.
on adventure.
No, that's not what he means.
It's close enough.
Have your adventures yet taken you to the Mist Kingdoms?
The Mist Kingdoms?
I guess that's a no.
Yeah, you would know the Mist Kingdoms as kind of like a real far down south, like not really a point to go there. It's like past the Shatter. There's like a lot of dangerous sea lanes. Like there's not really a good place for a gentleman of your stature.
A
What are you trying
businessman.
to say?
You're short and you die.
It says, no, I'd rather like living, actually.
I mean, it's not that dangerous there. I mean, our seas are inhabited with fierce creatures, our mines are full of wild beasts, and our forests are laden with animals. And yes, there used to be dragons that used to terrorize this countryside, but it's really a very lovely place.
I
I
would
will-
love to visit.
I will take your word for it, Cat.
Lives in the Australia of Beconville.
Accurate.
So, you caught me doing a supply run for Kvatia. I normally, once I've established a place, I don't really go I go on to the next thing, but I've hit a little snag in my attempts recently.
What snake?
Mostly some very prudish people, we'll say.
Fish?
Can't stand those kinds. Says Cat, resident virgin.
Oh, jeez. Ah, Jiminy Christmas.
Perhaps once we've gotten you all settled, we will we can talk about some assistance in my ventures. But for now, I'm gonna go check to see what Kvatia is making for dinner. You all can rest back here.
And Cat turns to Oran. Would you like to rest a day before we go to our tour, or did you want to go and relay the news? And...
I need to go see Garg now. I should go and see them now.
Are you sure to take Soot with you to our tour, or?
I don't think me carrying a dead body through the streets is probably gonna be garnering the most positive attention. Said that a little snippishly.
Just ask if there's anything
just-
that she can do, or if there's anyone that she knows that can do anything.
You know, I also
It
have
deserves to
contacts.
die.
You know someone who can bring back?
The dead?
I know someone who might be able to point us in the right direction.
That's more than we have right now.
I can follow direction.
Oran, there's a back door out of the the back room, and you can go out through there. You can come back through there. If the door's locked, just give it a couple of knocks. I'll come running.
All right, I'm gonna
Cat.
go and. All right, I'll see you all later. All right. Please be safe. Don't get arrested. Okay.
No promises.
You too, friend.
Well, at least I'll know where to find you. And then with that, he gives y'all like one last look and leaves.
As soon as he leaves, Cat leans over. Chop!
What?
He said, The back room? What's the chap? Is that a Western thing?
And Finnan actually runs a hand through his hair. He's got like this somewhat thick, wavy brown hair that he just runs a hand through. He's just... Alright,
He's got that good hobbit curly hair.
yeah. Well, it's not so much curly, but it's very wavy. As though, like, it's permanently been tousled by the breeze.
That big poof.
He's got those beach waves.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And he just says, alright.
Perpetual second day hair.
If we're laying everything out, might as well. So you're in my chapel, actually.
Oh.
Cat looks down at the ground like it's gonna burn her feet.
And
you take
uh,
6
What is
points of
chapel?
fire damage.
What's his chapel?
it's a place of worship.
Temple.
Yes, like a temple. Except a chapel is meant to be kind of smaller and more discreet.
Oh.
No, as far as-
It is discreet because I did not know that it was a chapel.
Yes.
as far as religious men that we've met recently, discreet hasn't been the word that I would use. Is your god one that is not permitted within these walls?
It's not so much that he's not permitted. He doesn't really go in for the stained glass and the the stoles and the robes. He's not here for any of that.
He's in it for sacrifice.
He's in it for the blood.
So, and he motions to that plaque on the wall again. I'm sure you've heard of, religions having their texts, their long scrolls and huge tomes of hymns and things like that, right?
Yes, they don't
Yeah.
particularly do much for me, and they certainly don't do much for Helga because she can't read.
Totally fair. And he motions again to the plaque and he says, "That is the entire holy text of Malchapiva."
That's minimal.
That's Mal for you.
All right.
He's called the host of the welcoming hearth.
Oh.
All he wants for people is to have a good meal, a cold drink, and a warm fire.
That's actually quite interesting. Where I'm from, we don't necessarily. I mean, people have their religions if they so choose, but we don't really have one unifying, organizing religion. But the idea of the hearth and of the forge does resonate within my people.
I actually trained my brewmaking with dwarves, if you can believe it. So, the forge is something I'm aware of. I don't particularly like it. I get a little, gets all up in my nose, and I don't love it. But I can sympathize.
We worship the animals in the sky where I'm from.
That's right. Helga is very fond of bears.
Sorry,
I
I was trying to think of something to say. I got nothing.
Just Finn actually say that. It's like, yeah, I got nothing for that.
No. He would say,
Trying
well,
to
to each
stump-
their own. I'm not here to convert anybody. Maul's just here. It's funny. I was just out getting their supplies. I was out at one of our supplier farms, and I heard a voice on the wind, which, sometimes is ominous, but, I could tell it was Mal, even though it wasn't quite Mal. It was weird. but he told me
Could have been Sky Bear.
it could have been the Sky Bear.
Helga is here to convert people. No, I'm kidding.
The voice told me, you know, Katya doesn't need those supplies right away. Go and dip your feet in the creek and just enjoy life for a bit. And that's what I was doing when you all came along.
Oh. It's
Destiny.
very wise.
I don't know if I can be the kind of person who. Well, I haven't historically been the kind of person who believes that circumstance and fate are a thing, but things have been changing my mind lately.
And again, Maul's not here to change minds. Maul's just here to make sure you're okay. So that's what I'm here to do.
Like I said before, you've been quite kind, Good Barrel.
Call me Finnan, please.
Kind of nods. My name is Katrina, but I really do go by Kat.
Most
I
people
am
call
Helga.
me...
I go by Helga.
Most people call me Good Barrel or Half Stout.
And Kat absolutely grins at that nickname.
And
That's what we call cats.
I am not that short.
You are short, but you are big in my heart.
Thank you, Helga. That means a
Aw.
lot.
I mean, to be fair, she is a lot taller than me.
Twice as tall.
And Finnan says, alright, so what I'll do is I'm going to make sure you guys have some dinner, have somewhere to sleep for the night. Don't even worry about it. And I'm gonna contact an old friend, we'll call them, to see what we can do for you.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
No need for thanks. It's what I do. And so, Finnan probably does go out to talk to Kavatia.
Okay.
Whoever you wanna-
How are they doing?
Helga's gonna buy some drinks at the bar.
So,
Okay.
does Helga go out
someone-
with Finnan to the bar? Because that's where
Yeah.
he's going.
Yeah, Helga's gonna go get some drinks.
And I assume she's pulling coin.
Yeah.
Oh god, Helga has the
Finnan-
bag of holding.
Finnan has already, with a practice motion, hoisted himself up onto a stool, so he's like not at Helga's height, but at least, you know, roughly chest to shoulder height with her. And as she reaches out to pass coin over to Kavatia, he swats her wrist like he did to Oran earlier.
I have plenty of.
You're not paying for anything as long as I'm here, Helga. Do you understand?
Yes.
And he says that actually in a very, like, quiet tone. And then,
Are
after
you
about,
okay?
after a moment, he actually sits back up. That face comes back on. He's just like, while I'm around, no one pays for drinks.
Bar has a couple more people in it, so they're like, ah, yay.
Rounds for everyone, Kvatya, like we always do.
All right.
I am not very smart business person, but seems like losing the money, and my understanding is to make the money big.
You know, some say that they're in it for the money. And I am too, but what's money amongst a couple of friends, right?
Yes.
Gavacia passes you a drink, Helga, and leans over the bar. How you doing?
I am okay.
So, and she's like, she kind of looks like she wants to ask what happened, but she doesn't want to say what happened because she doesn't want to like make you like relive it.
Helga is not picking up on this social cue.
Yep.
And Finnan just looks over. Were you gonna say something, Mike? I'm sorry.
Nah.
So Finnan looks over and sees this very clear social tell and just Katya, I was thinking of taking a little excursion to go find somebody that I've heard of.
Right. Are you
But
going to be out of town for a bit, or...?
Actually, I'm going to be in town for a bit. I'm gonna have to go over towards the church.
When? Nason's
Oh.
And
Right.
Finnan gives Kvatya a knowing look.
How much, do you think
Helga,
we'll need to pull?
And he kind of sits back, looking up at the sky, or the ceiling for a second, clearly trying to do some arithmetic in his head. What's in the coffers right now?
Enough is what I want to say. But, about 3.
You know, I was doing real good with my streak, but desperate times. I'll take the whole coffer.
You sure? Last time you took the whole thing, it was a bad time.
Well, these folk are going through a bad time. Least I can do is try to do something to make it better, right?
There's no convincing you.
You know this.
Oh,
again,
sweetheart.
What time is this excursion taking place?
I was going to go. You were saying something, Kit? Sorry.
I would need to be somewhere else later.
Somewhere else?
Yes. I had planned.
I like a good plan. So how's about this?
This is a private affair.
Totally
Private
understand.
affair.
You're not there.
Yeah, cat, you nosy bitch.
Sorry, I popped off into the bathroom and now suddenly like.
Helga's got plans.
Yeah, Helga and Finnan are out at the bar getting a couple of drinks.
See.
I don't know if Katrina would have, like, if Katrina would have joined them, we can
stayed
say
with the bird.
Okay.
So, Finnan just says, all right, well, I suppose I should go and have a word with this person before simply dragging everyone around town, especially considering the information you've shared with me. And he kind of...
Oh yes, about our band from the city.
Yes, Helga, that one. That exact thing that you should say much quieter next time.
It's so funny because Fidden answers Helga in the same fucking tone of voice that Oran usually does. Yes, Helga, that one. That thing that you should not have just said.
So, Katya, I'll take the whole 3.
Right. And she goes into a separate back room directly behind the bar that has 2 locks on it. And she pulls out, some keys and opens the door, goes back, shuts the door. You hear the locks close again. Can't really hear anything much behind it, but she comes out and passes you 300 platinum.
All right.
It's a lot of money.
So
It's
you can go
like
ahead and put
so
that
many-
in your you can go ahead and put that in your inventory.
Yep.
And they're in rolls too, so it's like
All very organized, of course.
very organized. Yep, rolled up with bits of twine and paper.
And Finnan tucks it into however he is carrying things.
He has a backpack.
Tucks it into his backpack, kind of nuzzles it underneath a few things.
He's careful about it. He's carried this kind of cash before.
All right. So he looks to Helga and just says, how does potato soup sound to you, Helga?
I like potato soup.
Think that's doable tonight, Kvatya?
Absolutely.
It's very soup weather out there.
Yes. I'm going to be yeah, actually I've been feeling my bones getting a little rattly. Looks like we might get another last little bit of winter before the spring truly starts. I'm sure everyone's going to be so excited about that. I'll go unload the cart.
I'm excited.
Oh, you know that Hops has already unloaded the cart, Kvatya. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, I just want to see if he needs some help, you know, his old back.
Yes, but he's so particular about the inventory.
The
I'll
pony
be sure to
unloaded
check
the
it off
cart.
right.
Of course, of course.
The pony unloaded the cart himself.
No, sweetheart, he didn't actually do that.
Shh, don't ruin the illusion, Kvatya.
Sorry,
just-
she's not gonna pick it up.
I really thought that the
I-
pony
I-
was unloading the cart.
You
I-
don't
I
listen
would-
to him, sweetheart. I have your best interests at heart.
I'm going to go out through the back, Kvatya.
Would you mind waiting until I actually have the cart unloaded? I don't want to leave the bar, you know,
Oh,
empty.
Yes, of course, of course. Go and handle it. I'll tend.
Thank you. She's gone for about like 10 minutes. She's
And
huge,
during-
so like she probably lifted everything just with one hand.
And Finnan
Aw.
actually like leaps over the bar and is standing on a stool, rather carefully placed back there, and he's tending bar during that time.
Sells a few drinks, has some good banter, all that stuff, just for a few minutes, and then Kvatya comes back, takes over. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
Hops did a wonderful job. I just had to check behind him, you know.
You know he hates that.
Well, he can suck it. She starts cleaning the counter.
Helga's just like, I thought you said the pony did not do it.
She gives you a wink, Helga, and doesn't say anything else.
And Finnan just hops down from the stool and just says, "Helga, enjoy your dinner, all right? And enjoy your private time."
All
I
right.
say it like that.
That's what he says.
That's what he says. So, Finnan, I mean, the back door is like through the chapel, right?
Yep.
Is that what you've established? Yeah. So you go back into the chapel. Katrina's there. What's Katrina been doing? We can't hear you. Nope. There you are.
Yep.
She's while they've been gone, she's been writing some letters.
Okay. You find
And-
Katrina scribbling on parchment.
And when
Katrina,
Finnan comes in, he's very like he actually closes the door gingerly behind him. He didn't know if anybody would be like sleeping or anything. And he sees Kat sitting up writing, and he's just
why do you write like you're running out of time?
I am,
Ah!
but you don't know that, and you don't know what I'm running out of time for.
Charlie.
That's very
Metagame,
mysterious.
metagame.
That's very mysterious.
and
Swear to
Finnan
Christ.
just looks over and just says, "You know, we made some jokes out there that I think I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know your sense of humor. You might have appreciated them. You might have actually been not okay with us teasing Helga a bit.
Helga tends to take it pretty easily when she understands.
Oh, she did not understand, I assure you of that. We managed to almost convince her, or I did, rather, and then Kvatya had to step in that, Hops does the inventory for all of the supplies himself.
Hops does seem incredibly capable.
I'm saying that's exactly what I was trying to say.
He's so mad about his ruined joke.
And he seems to have this, like, overwhelming anger, but it's all completely, like, performative. And then he just runs his hand through his hair and just completely back to normal, if tired-looking, middling. And just, I'm going to go have a word with someone in the city, actually. Will you be alright here for a bit?
Yes, I'll be fine, thank you.
Kvatya's fixing up some potato soup for dinner, and tell her that she needs to break out the good mulled wine.
Yeah.
I only heard half of what Harley said.
I just said thank you.
And he just kind of... She's sitting, right?
Yes.
He reaches up and just kind of pats her arm in, like, the most, like, sympathetic way without being overly friendly. And then moves towards the back door out of the chapel.
Alright, so, split the party, sure, that makes narration easy.
Split the party. Split the party.
So, I will yada yada a lot of things, just because it'll bog down the story otherwise. Katrina, when you finish your letters, which I assume you're going to tell me about later, when you finish your letters, you go out and the soup is delicious, the mulled wine is nicely heated, the environment in the bar is lively, it's comfortable, the windows are a little frosted, actually. And Finnan, as you step outside, you kind of draw your arms in a little bit. It has just started to snow.
Lovely.
Great.
You make your way through the Lochbard, through the gates of the city, kind of tracing the familiar paths, just seeing the people. A lot of people heading inside in the cold, some kids running out playing in the snow. Trying to catch it in their mouths. And you make your way. You move through the market and down one of the longest thoroughfares of the city and out the gates on the other side. You've now passed through the whole city. And just outside of these gates is a fenced off area. It has an iron fence. It's a graveyard. And kind of further through that graveyard is a kind of cobbled stone structure with a small spire and a silver kind of rusted bell at the top of the tower. And as you approach these double oak doors, you see that they have been carved with the image of a skeletal tree. Almost. Do you knock?
Yes.
Yeah, the snow is starting to come down a little heavier now. A little bit of white dusting is covering the graves.
Is it fair to say that my traveler's clothes include a simple cloak?
Yes, absolutely. You have a traveling cloak.
He's got it drawn around him and hood up and all that.
Yep. Just a little man. Slowly turning white. And you pull back one of the big knockers on the door and it goes...
There
Big
certainly are some big knockers.
Eh.
Got some of them big knockers.
Helga loves big knock.
And the door, there's a couple of moments, and the door opens to reveal a, a young woman, a young human woman, with, ginger hair. I'm sorry, not ginger hair, raven hair. Looked at the wrong character. She is a human, though. She's very pale. She seems like she gets no sunlight whatsoever. In dark purple robes. And she has this just raven hair.
Gotcha.
She answers the door, and she kind of looks out, like over your head, a little confused, and then looks down.
Aw.
Oh, hello. How can I help you?
You are quite chipper, actually. That's unexpected.
Well, you know, when you stay around death all the time, just people tend to kind of need a little bit of a upward tilt. My name's Val. She holds out her hand.
Finnan Goodbarrel.
Nice to meet you, Finnan. What can I do for you? Do you need to set up a service?
It's... I'll be honest, it's a little complicated.
Define complicated.
And he just... This would be much better discussed, not where I could get buried in snow.
She kind of looks you over, and there's a bit of a... For all of her, you know, chipper demeanor, she's clearly very intelligent. She seems to have an idea of why you're here. And she just says, I'll go make some tea. And she leads you inside, and it's almost a very, it's a very Christian chapel with pews, except instead of a large crucifix on the far back wall of the chapel, there is actually a stone carving of a tree that twists upward.
I was
And
about to say, heathen gods only. D&D, goddammit.
and that actually frames the back wall, and it's carved out of this black and white marble. It's a very lovely sculpture, and it's decorated with it looks like amethysts and other purple jewels to just accent the
So, while
thing.
Val is making the tea, Finnan wrinkles his noses at the pews.
his multiples of noses.
Shut up.
How many noses does he have? Why wasn't this mentioned before?
One
Oh.
on his face.
Oh,
Where's the other one?
Wow!
It's a secret.
Wow! What's new, pussycat?
But
Other
then
noses.
when he sees the tree statue, he gets a sense of things a little bit and goes over to it and unclasps the tankard on his waist, sets it down in front of him, and actually kneels at the statue.
Go ahead and roll a religion check.
Ooh boy, what do I have in that?
Well, what? Roll a religion check using your... What's your spellcasting
stat.
stat? Is it charisma or wisdom?
Oh, that's a very good question, actually, because I don't have any of those yet.
I want to say it's charisma.
You don't have
Charisma, yes.
Yeah, so go ahead and add your charisma bonus to religion.
That would be a total of 22.
As you kneel here in the Silver Church, a place of worship, not necessarily of worship, but a place of a house of remembrance for people who have passed. people who do worship the human gods, the nine. There's a chill breeze that seems to swirl around the tree for just a moment, and you feel your hair tousle a bit.
Is this a familiar chill breeze?
No, it is not.
Well, that's
Are you still holding your mug, or did you just put that down?
I feel like the way that he would do it is that he would set it down at first, but then kind of put his hand around the handle as he's praying.
It is very warm as he grasps it.
Okay.
Gross.
But that's all.
Yeah, so he sits back up after a good minute or so of prayer and just kind of waits patiently for Val to return.
After a bit, Val does return with a couple of steaming cups of tea, and she motions for you to sit in the frontmost pew with her.
He hoists himself up.
So, who died?
I know of the person, but I don't actually know the person.
She kind of arches
think.
an eyebrow.
I think Helga might have mentioned Soot's name in front of him.
Okay,
Maybe we'll say yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can establish that. His name was Soot.
Okay, and how did he die? What happened?
I haven't gotten that much yet. The friends of his, I came across them while traveling, and I can't leave people needing. I just can't.
She kind of sighs and kind of steels herself, prepares herself, and says, look, a lot of people come in here asking me to, call upon the gods, bring back their father or the child that was lost to illness, and
I don't think this was an illness, Val.
there isn't much that I can do when... Look, death is a natural part of the world, and when it is time, when someone's destiny has been fulfilled, it is time for them to go.
His destiny.
And what if it wasn't fulfilled?
I'm afraid that's not something that I can judge. That's for the Silver Lady to decide. It's not really... What... Look, I understand that these strangers that you've met lost someone that's important to them. But if they... How can you be so sure that they died of when before their destiny was fulfilled?
The easy answer is, I don't. But when you are a person of faith, you sometimes look at somebody and can get a read of kind of what's happening. I may not know the entire shape of the thing, but nobody walks for 6 hours straight, holding their dead loved one in their arms the whole time, if they think that it was meant to be.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
Please, 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 please.
With advantage.
That was no better. Shit. That's a 12 total.
Man, if only we had told him about.
Okay,
such
she
a
seems
thing.
to struggle for a moment. If you... I don't have any services for the rest of the day. If you can bring them here, I'll see what I can do. If I can't help them bring their friend back through some divine influence, I don't know where people get these ideas from. If I can at least ease their suffering, I'd like to be able to try.
It would be much appreciated, Val. Where do you keep your offerings?
Typically, they just go at the base of the tree, and then they're collected and either burned or placed in a safer place.
And he just kind of slides out of the pew, dips into his backpack, and pulls about 20 gold and sets it at the base of the tree.
Okay. Sure you mark that out of your inventory?
I just did.
Excellent. She collects the tea and says, "Thank you. I hope that your new friends' troubles will be eased."
You and me both. And he leaves.
As he exits the silver church, there's a good half inch of snow on the ground now.
Love
It's not windy, but it's floating down. And the sun is not quite yet setting, but it's getting there.
Right.
You probably have a couple hours before the sun sets.
And how long does it take to get from one side of the city to the other?
It's a big city, but I mean, if you walk pretty briskly and you're not like just stopping to see the sights, you can get across the city in about an hour.
About an hour, you said?
I don't know how long it takes to walk across the city.
Okay.
I will say you can get back to the, you could basically get everyone to the church if you went back now and brought them all. If you could get there, like, as the sun is setting.
Yep, that's kind of the plan.
So you make the brisk walk all the way back, just as everyone's actually probably finishing up eating.
Yeah,
Trina and Helga are at the bar. And you see Finnan enter.
And he enters through the front, just... Is it busy, or has it slowed down?
There's at least every table has a few people at them. It's not packed, but it's about a solid business day now.
And you can see
Well,
that... Go ahead.
I was gonna say to Mike, can we skip back to beginning of dinnerness?
Absolutely. We'll do a meanwhile.
Meanwhile, Helga scarfed down her dinner and, as the sun is setting, is like, turns to Kat, I need to leave the city.
I'm sorry, what?
I need to get out of the town, away from the city and people. Thing.
For how long? Why? What about Soot? What about Oranenberg? You're not leaving like Oakfather, are you?
No, just for tonight. I need to leave, and I just don't want you to worry. I couldn't leave a note, cause So I thought I should tell somebody, which is you. So,
For tonight?
just for I will be.
It's not a full moon, is it?
Hmm?
Moon.
It is the 15th of the month.
Does not say anything. She is going to speculate to herself. Just so long as you
yeah.
come back, okay?
I'll be back in the morning. So Helga collects her furs, and after finishing dinner and bussing her stuff, goes ahead out into the streets to walk out to the edge of the city and into the wild.
Yep, Helga just leaves the bar. And we'll say that a few minutes later, Finnan enters.
And Finnan is not like has the customer service mask on, but not the voice. He is not really interacting much with people, but he is like if people look to him and acknowledge him, he's smiling and waving and doing the whole like somewhat famous local celebrity thing.
Yeah.
And once he gets up to the bar, is anybody sitting next to Kat? Is it just an empty stool?
That would have glared at anyone who tried to sit next to her.
So, Finnan hoists himself up into the stool. How's the soup, my friend?
Very good, and I am particularly fond of this malt wine.
And it's clearly hitting you already.
I don't have the strongest alcohol tolerance.
That's my favorite kind of person, and he laughs boisterously.
Kit, sorry, before y'all continue your conversation. Kit, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 4.
3.
Alright.
And after that little show and the laugh, Finnan lowers his voice back down, and that voice is now the character voice is now gone. He just so what did Helga run off already?
Just for the evening, I believe. She had some business to attend to.
Shit. Would you? I hate to bring this up, and you tell me as little as you feel you can, but any amount of information that you can give is gonna help.
Is this about trying to help Soot?
Yeah.
Whatever you need to know, and if I need to go somewhere, I can change my clothes. I know that she punches her breastplate. She looks basically like a Roman soldier, by the way. She punches it. I can change out of this and be a little bit less noticeable if need be.
Might be wise, but just answer me one question, and that'll at least get us in the right direction, because we need to move fairly quickly. Was his death rightly deserved?
Soot was the embodiment of light. No one like him deserved to die in the dark the way that he did.
It's everything I needed to hear.
Also, he was on like a sacred mission, but I'm not here.
You're not there!
I don't think Kat was there for that conversation. Shit.
That's all I needed to hear. And he waves over Kvatya.
What's up?
Carefully as you can, get their friend loaded into the cart and get hops set up.
Right. And she just, without missing a beat, just disappears.
And he turns back over to Kat and just says, I went to speak with the graver.
For the audience, both Katrina and Finnan would know that a graver is what Val is. Basically, a graver is an arcanist. Someone talented with magical abilities that also worships the deity Death, the human deity, the Silver Lady. And that's what a graver is. Sorry, you may continue.
And I don't know what can be done, if anything, but we're gonna try at the very least.
What we can hope for, that's more than generous.
Like I said, sometimes you find the people that you want to run a tab for. So,
It's so nice.
so it's probably another couple of minutes before the cart's set up, so Finnan just kind of takes a moment.
Some soup.
Yeah, eat some soup.
Soup. Yeah, when you're ready, you go out to the back. Kavachi is there waiting with the cart, just kind of keeping a lookout.
We'll have gone upstairs to change into her dress and throw on a regular cloak.
Sure.
Right, and Finnan is just as Finnan as ever.
Okay. Also, before we continue, I need Helga to make a stealth check with advantage.
Ooh, I got a 19.
All right. Helga, as you walk through the streets, trying to head out of the city, you do narrowly avoid several paladins walking around with now torches on their evening patrols.
Hooray!
But you do get out of the city. And that is where we will leave Helga's story for this foreseeable future.
Oh, cool, I can zone out.
Yeah, you can zone out now. Thank you. So bringing it back to Katrina and Finnan. You two make your way as quickly as you can through the streets of Dagdaral. I'll say you will also need to roll a stealth check with advantage, however, because you do look different. You are disguised, and Finnan is there.
So I don't need to roll anything?
Nah, you're basically doing the help action with her for stealth.
Gotcha.
That is a 17.
Okay. You make it all the way to the Silver Church. With you do see a couple of paladins, but you're able to kind of duck off, or look different, and they don't even notice you, really. Or they don't give you a second glance. You make your way to the Silver Church. As you are walking, though, you do see a couple of wanted posters tacked up on some message boards with some pretty spot-on artists' depictions of Katrina, Helga, and Soot.
I never get my nose right.
What does it say we're wanted for?
Wanted for, basically it has a reward, not a super hefty reward, but for information, but like it's like 50 gold for information, but wanted for questioning with regards to attacks on basically sovereign soil.
She makes that noise
What?
as they walk past. She'll just go, ugh.
Finnan takes a look and just says, I'm thinking of another word of wisdom from Mal, actually. Break a man's shackles, but never his spirit.
Your god seems to be very talkative.
Again, we don't need big hymns and things like that. We just got some sayings, just stuff to think about.
Food for thought.
Chicken soup for the Beckondellian soul.
It's like the, what you call it, the little aphorisms that Ben Franklin wrote. Freaking penny saved is a penny earned.
basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's
I have a
ba-
whole list of them.
Yep. What were you gonna say?
No, that's basically it.
Okay. You two make your way through the streets safely. The snow is coming down. Of course, it's now about an inch, covering, and it's nice. There's a little gentle crunch as you step through it. Hops's breath is steaming in the evening, and it's getting dark. The sun has gone down enough that people are starting to turn on any candlelight that they have in their homes. So there's a bit of a warm, kind of a Christmassy glow in the area, which makes it so much more grim when you approach the dark chapel in the graveyard. But there is a light on inside, and as you approach the door, Val answers it rather quickly. She opens it. She sees she's looking down for you this time, Finnan. And she says, "Well, hello again."
Take it
And
you
hello.
don't get too many visitors.
Nope, not particularly. Hi, I'm Val, and she like holds out a hand for you, Katrina.
Cat. And she shakes the hand.
So, your acquaintance here has requested that I take a look at your friend.
Yes. And she goes and gingerly grabs his body and brings him in.
And there is actually the front pews have been pushed to the side. The front two rows have been pushed to the side, and there is a chalk circle of arcane runes drawn in front of the tree. And she kind of motions for you to place Soot there. And she's got like a little pouch with some ingredients and some such stuff. You've seen similar rituals, or not rituals, but like similar, items and mannerisms from Maida, actually. So this is a little more familiar for you, Katrina. But the body is placed there, and as she starts looking over it, she's looking at Soot, and she like reaches out a hand and stops. What were you doing?
We're, I guess you would say, mercenaries. We were helping out a friend, clearing out a mine, and there was this creature, unlike anything you've ever seen. It could make you faint just by looking at you, and
Did quite a bit more than that.
he saved all of us. He was the only one able to keep it at bay. Because of what happened.
There's a dark, dark curse on this body. If I was to try to call your friend back to it, he would not be himself. He would be... You're mercenaries, so I'm sure you've seen some pretty terrible things. When the dead walk, eating the living and killing the living, it's not a pleasant sight.
Some of those where he fell.
And you slayed this monster?
Yes. Our friend
Did
Oran.
we?
Friend Oran did.
Well, just as well. If you hadn't, I'm sure, this
Guys,
little...
actual question here. Did Oran finish it off? I just remember waking up outside the...
Yeah, Oran finished it off. It had 1 hit point left, and he cast Thunderwave as soon as you got knocked out. And even if it had saved, it would
okay,
have...
I got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that detail.
Yes. It's just as well that you did. For if you hadn't, I'm sure that the same fate would have befallen, your friend here. She keeps saying your friend. She's looking at a bird.
Also, during all of this, Finnan has his back turned, clearly trying to give some modicum of privacy. He is listening, but he is watching the door pretty closely.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm going to be honest with the rest of you. There's nothing I can do to help this friend of yours as long as the curse that holds his body is still there.
So what do we do?
I do not have at my disposal the ability to remove this curse. I did, but look, you have suffered a trauma. I know you would do anything. I can't ask you to put your lives in danger.
Do that every day for lesser means.
You could also ask me. I haven't suffered any trauma recently.
She gets a very just just.
I haven't got any.
She gets a very okay. This is the way it's gonna be, kind of expression. All right. There is an artifact that was the method of channeling magical energies. My method of channeling magical energies. I'm sure that the two of you are familiar with how casting magic works. You know, moving your hands and speaking some words, it doesn't just happen. You have to be able to channel it through something, especially if it's powerful.
Yeah, Helga's tried. Sorry.
What I would need is my holy symbol.
And subconsciously, when she says holy symbol, Finnan's hand goes to his tankard.
Mm-hmm.
And Cat will reach into Soot's pocket and pull out his holy symbol. These.
Ah. Okay. I see.
Like I said, he did not deserve to fall the way that he did.
Look, I would do this, but this body is very, very tainted by whatever dark energy took him from this world, and I don't have the components to even try to call his soul back. This, not only is this dangerous, this is an expensive thing, and as you can see, and she gestures to the empty room of dusty pews, this is not really something that is well within my means.
Finnan turns around, reaches into his backpack, and very carefully and poignantly starts to set down the rolls of platinum pieces.
And she kind of stops you after, I'll say they'd be rolls of I'd say they'd be rolls of 20 platinum each. I'm thinking about how actual coin rolls work. So
Yeah.
So she kind of stops you after a couple. Look, there's clearly no convincing you. In order to remove the curse, I would need my holy symbol, but it has been robbed of me. It's a relic, a gift from the Silver Church, supposedly blessed by the lady herself, and that is what gave it such its potent magic. It's the only thing that I know that can channel enough divine energy to save your friend.
So where is it? Sorry.
It's, well, there is a young man who I was training to help around church, but he was a bit of a bad apple, to say the least. He was a ward of sorts. His name was Benneth, And he was pious, and he was just, but he was very, very naive, and he kept...
Does he go by Kylo Reneth now?
Oh my lord.
Sorry. Sorry. Continue.
He was looking for signs of divine influence in everything, and it was not only frustrating, it distracted him from the point of the work that we do here, which is to help people deal with trauma and losing loved ones.
Well, seems as though we might need to go pay Benneth a visit.
Well, that's the thing. He liked to go for walks, and I discovered that he had been visiting old ruins outside of town, and I believe that he may have contacted something unpleasant, because when he came back, he started to act erratically, and then just the day before I was going to call in a Reaper to see if we could perhaps talk some sense into him, just scare him a little bit, he made off with not only all of the money in our coffers, all of everything that had been laid here as offerings. He also made off with my holy relic. I don't know what he means to do with it, but I think he's a very dangerous man.
Even if you weren't going to help us, it does seem like the kind of person who we would want to help you apprehend, regardless.
I just met you people. Why am I asking you to do this?
Put it this
To be
way.
fair, we are asking you to change the fates and bring someone back from the dead. So, I mean, tit for tat.
It's less of asking, and this is more of a business transaction.
The gods don't deal in business transactions.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. Come on, please. We're helping you because you're hopefully going to be able to help us. And even if we can't, we've still helped you, which is, kind of a good thing to help people, last I checked.
Plus, I really bear no love towards the paladins of this city, so if we can do something that makes them feel a little bit cowed, as long as they don't know our names and who's involved. And she kind of, gives a look to the lady.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check. Both of you roll persuasion checks for separate things.
Okay.
Modified 20.
Mine is a 17.
All right. She looks at the two of you, just back and forth, talking, and she says, if you can stop Benneth, maybe talk some sense into him, I don't know, but I think he may be too far gone. I promise I will not say anything to the paladins about you, and I'll see what I can do to help your friend. Look, when Daemon worship is involved, I'm a little apprehensive to just ask random strangers to go jump into potentially the jaws of death. You may end up no better than your friend here.
I mean, I know how to take care of myself. Our other friend who couldn't be here knows how to take care of themselves. We're willing to go the distance to help Soot and to bring him back.
All right.
And I need a new bit of direction.
All right. It's not very often I meet people who are selfless. I'm not used to it.
And Kat, curiously, kind of looks away at that.
uncommon for somebody in my trade to be so concerned about others that profits aren't on the brain, but sometimes you meet people that just, need you. And the gold doesn't matter anymore.
She like pushes the she pushes the coin back at you that you had started putting out. She's, if you come back alive, we'll talk.
Sounds like a plan.
For now, and she leans down and she's wearing this this beaded necklace that has like a bunch of like what looks like little colored jewels hanging from it, and she pulls one off and places it on Soot's forehead, and a little purple shimmer that actually looks very familiar, Katrina. Almost like little flames behind which you can see an endless starscape. It seems to shimmer gently over Soot's body. And she says, his body will not degrade for the foreseeable future.
Thank you.
It's the most that I can really do in my limited abilities right now.
Buys
It's
this time.
appreciated.
I was supposed to help this city, and I'm reduced to stopping bodies from smelling bad.
We'll get you back to where you need to be. Don't you worry, pal.
You're good people. Please don't
I
die.
try.
We'll do our best. Have a pretty good track record so far.
You're gonna have to tell me some of those stories sometime, Kat.
Involve quite a few explosions.
I like the sound of this already.
And that's where we're going to end our episode. So, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please be sure to leave us a review because it super duper helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment about your favorite part, and your predictions for the next episode. Once again, we have a Patreon. Go check it out. It's at patreon.com/dicey-decisions. Every little bit helps. There are tiers starting at $1 a month. So just $1 a month, you could start getting access to character art, character backstories, a bunch of cool stuff, Discord roles. Go check it out. It's fun. Thank you all so much for being here. Please, be safe, share some love, and tell a story. Good night.